amazing humans. Welcome to my series about how to use a lacrosse ball to release various muscles, take care of some symptoms hopefully, and or warm up, at least today's video, your upper body for your workout. So whatever brought you here, thank you for being here. And feel free to always share these videos with someone else who might be going through what you're experiencing. Now, main important things to note for today, we have a lacrosse ball, we have some sort of flat surface. This could be your squat rack, this the edges of the squat rack, this could be a door frame, this could be a flat wall, but for us and anyone who made your walls, please make sure that you're hitting studs on your drywall and not flat surface. I tell you this because of my personal experience, so no judgment. But a corner of a wall, anything along there where we can get about this height, wherever you need to comfortably, and this isn't gonna move on yet, okay? Now, when we're talking about the order in which we want to do things when releasing upper body muscles, generally speaking, right, because there's exceptions to everything out there, the majority of us out there are on our phones, driving, working at a desk, so we're constantly in this like T-Rex posture, right, which means these pectoral muscles are constantly too tight, and we can stretch and we can move, and I've got some other great videos for that for you as well. But for today, we want to myofascially release that tissue. You can also refer to this as foam rolling, even though we're using a lacrosse ball, but also static myofascial release. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm going to briefly touch on points, but know that when you're foam rolling, you're only going to hold to tolerance. This is not a more is more kind of thing. This is first sensation is enough to stimulate change, right? We're going to hold, generally speaking, from 30 seconds to a minute. And anything longer than that, you can stimulate more change, but for the little bits of time that I'm wanting you to do this, you really don't need to do longer than a minute. And the reason being, I'd much rather you apply this a couple times throughout the day versus hammer it too hard early in the day or end of the day. Because hopefully, the more we're addressing muscle imbalances a little bit at a time, the easier it is for your body to ease out of some of those habits. Now, for upper body, we've got our pectoral here, right? We've got our traps here. We've got our lat connections and subscap, like, kind of in this area. Once again, a lot of general terminology. But when we're looking at those muscle groups, those pecs are really pulling us forward. And so we want to relieve them before we try to hit traps too hard, before we try to hit lats, or even, some of that mid to low back too hard. So all I'm going to do is take my lacrosse ball like so. I like to start along the collarbone and search for any areas where there's some tenderness. So I'm just gonna kind of move the ball along the wall. Once I find a spot right about there where it's like, ooh, hi, right? You just wanna hold that position for 30 seconds to a minute. Now what you can't see on this side is I've kind of got my arm out like this. So I'm gonna turn away from you just for this. And I've got the ball here. And what I'm doing is once I find those spots, I like to add a little bit of arm movement with it. You don't have to, you could even just have your arm here. But I like the thought of pinning the tissue and then working through it. That way becomes more of a mobilization as well as a myofascial release. So you can do that on both sides, the whole pectoral. Just like any type of foam rolling though, we don't wanna really hold on bones. We don't really wanna hold on joints. You might, feel a little bit like you're in the joint when you're on the front of the shoulder bone if you need to. But for the sake of general foam rolling, we're not gonna hold on joints. So you can hit this whole pectoral area in order to get the shoulders down and back. Now once you've done that, we can start working into the trap. There's two ways I like to release the trap. The first way is a little less aggressive. I'm just gonna take my ball, I'm never gonna go on the spine. I can go off to either side and just lean. And you can go as high as you want. Now I don't necessarily want you in this like nice low wall sit. That's kind of defeating some of the purpose of getting muscles to relax. But I'm just gonna search along, same concept. When I find those spots that are tender, I'm just gonna hold for 30 seconds to a minute. Now this, you could add a little bit of movement in the sense of like flexing forward into the ball, right? Or even up here on the trap around the shoulder blade, I could find a spot and work like this. Now, there are ways to also do this on the ground. I'll review that in another video. This is more, you need to get something done quickly. You're getting ready for a workout. You're at work on a lunch break and you're just wanting to get a little bit of relief. Now, after we've done the traps, we can work down even into this low back and into the hips if you want. I'll cover that in a little more depth in another video, but I always joke about like we can work the J down and once again, never on the spine. Now, if you've also been having a lot of that tightness in through under the armpits, like you go to work and you're like, oh, this is area right through here. I've relieved it with the ball, I've relieved this is still kind of achy. What you can do, we're never gonna go in the armpit, we're gonna go behind the armpit into this like meaty spot back here. And I can do the same concept of just kind of pin and hold. I like to kind of do a little forward backward with it to see that spot right before that muscle likes to jump. That's kind of the best place to really pin it. So that's another area that you can hit to just relieve pressure off of that whole chain. Now, the more aggressive way to release the trap, which I don't have people do too often, I'd much rather you try other ways first, is to get it from the top. Now, our trap muscles attach here and kind of go back, not quite 45 degrees, right? So we're not gonna come at it straight on, we're gonna come at it from a little bit of an angle. So I'm going to find, here's collarbone, trap muscle is just above it. I'm gonna find the top of that trap muscle, and then I'm gonna lean into it and turn my head. As I'm turning my head, I can feel that spot like right there where the muscle gets really tight, and I work it back. You can hold this statically if you want for that 30 seconds to a minute, or work it through those pulses for 30 seconds to a minute. It's really whatever you're feeling best. Now, other thought process with this, if you feel any numbing, tingling, anything like that, please stop, because the muscle might be so tight that you're essentially starting to feel some of that kind of cut off to blood flow. As long, you're not gonna hurt yourself doing this as long as you're being gentle and listening to your body, right? Feel free to look at any more of the videos that we have. I have other videos on here for stretches. I have other videos on here for how to use a percussion device. So this is just one of your options for going through and relieving some of that pain. So hopefully this helps keep you out of pain. Hopefully this is a great reference if you're one of my clients or have taken one of my workshops. And either way, feel free to share the knowledge.